Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the Online Bible Institute Network podcast. I'm Doug. With me is my dad, and Pastor Brain is here with us today. We are excited about that. We're going to be looking into the notes for Kingdom Alignment, Part 8. And, last week we asked the question, what do I truly value? And this week we're going to be talking about how the eye is the lamp of the body. So, Pastor Brain, would you read the scripture reading for us? And then, Dad, go ahead, take over with the notes.
All right. So we're reading Matthew 6:22 and 23 today. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Amen.
That's good. Yeah. So, like I said, Jesus is building some things here, and these ideas build on each other and tie together. And last week, we were talking about treasure, and what is it that I truly value, and so this week now he's building on that by adding in the eye of the body. Eye is the lamp of the body, and it's fascinating. It's have you ever sort of noticed that two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away seeing two completely different things? One notices like good stuff and one notices the bad stuff, if you would. And one sees a problem, one sees an opportunity. And this is pretty common with people it's a big thing about how they sort of perceive what's going on around them. And so two people can look at the same thing, see it differently. The circumstances haven't changed, just the eyes have. And so that's where Jesus is going with the eyes, the lamp of the body. And he says, if your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. It was a expression that the listeners would have been aware of. It's in Jewish thought, a good eye, a healthy eye, describes somebody that was generous, would, in effect, saw the bigger picture and the way God was. And a bad eye was someone who was sort of fearful that they had to hang on to everything, and so it was just a different way of looking at things. And so how this ties into what he was talking about with treasure is that treasure shapes ultimately vision, because what we value changes what we see, how we see things. So that's all right. Of this is perspective on how we're going to see life. And so in effect, the heart, which is what we've been dealing with, this is a heart alignment thing, kingdom alignment. The heart shapes the eyes. When our hearts are aligned, when our lives are aligned, we're going to see things the way that the Lord sees things. And when they're not, we're not going to. And so if what's going on inside of us really helps, sort of determines and interprets how we sort of take in life around us. Like if we treasure fear, if that's what we're seeing, we're going to see threats everywhere. But if it's about status, then I'll be comparing myself with others all the time. And yet if it's Jesus, then I'll be seeing what he's doing. So it's a big difference. And that's a big trap for a lot of people. Spend a lot of their time comparing themselves constantly to others. And it's it takes away from the life that they could have. But if we can get our focus right, and if Jesus is our treasure, it's amazing how we begin to see him in every situation and really moving. That last weekend, we had that experience where we were doing baptisms, and we had 6 people who had signed up to get baptized, and they all got baptized. And then I said, well, does anybody else want to get baptized? And somebody said yes, which is always cool. And they were with our group, and they came in, we baptized them. Then I said it again. And anybody had another person in our group who said yes, and they came in and got baptized. And then it was kind of funny by then. And I said, okay, anybody else? And someone from just on the beach that we didn't know jumped over, and he wanted to get baptized too. And and his it was interesting because he wasn't he didn't speak English. He spoke Spanish, and yet already with us was Pastor Georgina, who does speak Spanish, and she was there ready to go. So we could, because I can't just, I have to make sure they know Jesus, right? And are willing to make a public confession. And so that would have been difficult. We'd have probably got there, but God had it all set up. And we were all talking about how God had that all set up. And then we had a great weekend, and at the end of the last service, someone gave their life to Jesus. Not that that hadn't happened before them, but this particular one, and it just sort of reminds us that he's at work. He's always doing this thing, because we sort of just keep doing these things weekend after weekend. We just go and we go and we go and we go, and yet never want to take for granted that God's at work, and those are really cool things. So if we're aligned with Him, we really begin to see Him at work more and more and more, and that we're just a part of it. I had this thought that, like, um, it's been a long time for me, but not long for you, Brain. There's something about when a couple is expecting a baby, all of a sudden they begin to see pregnant people everywhere, and it's not because there's more pregnant people; it's just because it's on their radar a lot more, and so their attention has changed, and so what that tells you is that your hearts train your eyes. What's on your heart is how you begin to see, and that's why it's such a big deal. And so this also builds back into the two trees, as everything seems to. And uh, the tree of knowledge of good and evil trains us to live from scarcity and comparison and self-protection and control, and it doesn't fill us with light, right? But the tree of life teaches trust and abundance and dependence. And so the trees, they're not just producing different behavior, they actually produce different ways of seeing reality. One sees lack and feels like they have to fix it, and one sees the grace of God and moves into it. And that's really significant in the way that we, go through life, because Jesus wants to fill our lives with light. I mean, that's his goal, right? When Jesus spoke again to the people, John 8:12, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So this is that whole thing. It goes back to what we're talking about between, the healthy eye has light in it. And so he's not just correcting the way that we think, he's inviting us into a different way of living. That's what kingdom alignment is all about. That's the heart of Jesus. He's bringing us into a place where we can live aligned with him. And so that's a big deal. Ephesians 5, for you were once darkness, but now you're light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for the fruit of light consists in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, and find out what pleases the Lord. And when your heart's aligned with him, that's how you're going to walk. That's what's going to happen. So light produces wisdom and generosity and hope and compassion, and that's kingdom vision, right? That's what goes on with him. We're seeing life through the eyes of Christ. We where we live here in the Florida Keys, and anybody who's ever fished here in the Florida Keys will know that if you look at the water with just your eyes or with regular sunglasses, you can't see anything but the top of the water. But if you put on Polaroid lenses, you can see right through it. And all that's changed is the way that you're seeing, right? You have the lens now that allows you to see a whole lot more. And so that your vision changed, not the water, nothing in the water changed, but the way that you're seeing in it. And so Jesus is not just wanting to change our circumstances. He changes the lens, if you would, in the way that we see him. And so this is really what we're going to be building on this week. And that the whole idea of, where your treasure is, your heart is, the eye is the lamp of the body. And then next week, you can't serve God and mammon. It's basically the same thought. He just keeps deepening it it's ultimately all about worship, that you worship what gets first place in your life. And if anything else is in there or tied with it or above it, it's what you worship. It's who you trust. It's what what you think ultimately takes care of you. And he's really kind of very kindly going after it little by little here to get people's hearts right, because he wants your life filled with light. He wants you in this place where you're living at the tree of life, not in the other tree, and where you are able to see, how amazing he is and what he's going through. I'm gonna the I'll include in the message the idea of something that we've talked about here for years and years and years and years. Be thankful for 5 things every day, which is seemingly very simple, and yet will absolutely change the way that you see things going through a day, because
Right.
you either start grateful or you start, worried about what you don't have, and it totally impacts the rest of the day. So that's kind of where we're heading, and looking forward to heading this week, and we'll be digging into it together.
Yeah, good stuff. Going to be a really good message. Pastor Brain, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Kingdom Alignment Part 8 coming up.
Yeah, this is really enlightening for me, because there are things that have been happening in my life. I couldn't really place it until now. I'm seeing why. Yeah, like the baby thing, you know. Um, I think for the 2 times that we've been expecting, I find myself around the time when the baby is going to come. I really find myself being so protective of babies, like little babies. I start to get really protective of them. Um, I get more conscious toward pregnant women, and I really just don't know why, you know. And sometimes I just tell myself, well, maybe I'm overdoing this, overreacting, because there are times I literally rebuke. I have my little daughter that I've been taking care of. I've been babysitting for almost 2 years now, and for the whole time, I have become really conscious of how others around me treat little children. And sometimes I rebuke people in church, and I'm like, watch that child, about their own children, not mine. I think this is this is one of the things. Um, this should be the reason why this is so, because on my heart is my little baby girl. I want to protect her, take care of her, and when I see another treating or letting their child go, it feels like, don't do that. But I don't think I would otherwise do that. I've been here long enough to know that I've not been that protective of children, for the most of the time. And yeah, and this one, I think I was talking about this with my wife one time in reference to some other person, but that's the same thing that happens to me. I love cars, so sometimes I just pick a car and I start to do research on that car, and I realized that when I start to research on a particular car, it's like the whole town is full of that, that specific brand of cars. Because everywhere I go, it's that car I see. You know, in traffic, that's all I see. We can have something else in front of me, but if there's like a third car in front, that's what I get to see. And I'm like, yeah, this is that car I've been looking at. This is that car I've been
Same
looking
thing
at.
happens with guitars. Trust me.
Yeah, I can believe you when you say that.
He starts sending me pictures.
Look at this.
I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah. So this is really interesting. I've never looked at this text in this light. I think this is just real, enlightening, like I said, and it reminds me of where we're just coming from. Your treasure, leads your heart, which eventually trains your vision. And I see this as a kind of equation of life and alignment. If our treasure is in the right place, our hearts will be focused on the right thing, and we will see rightly. We'll see things the way things should be seen. And what I want to do personally is, have my heart dwell more on Jesus, so that I can see him more. We've talked a lot in the past about, how to look at God, press into God on a daily basis, and continue to say yes to Jesus, and seeing him in everything, see him work things out, when things are tough, when things are easy, at all times. I believe that one of the ways to get to see that, to see God working in the midst of the chaos, is to have our hearts dwelled on Him, to have our hearts, rest in Him. And if that heart alignment happens, our vision will be. I don't think we would go anywhere if we didn't have the right vision. If we didn't. And I like the fact that this vision we're talking about is not about the physical eyesight. It's about perception. It's about, you mentioned worldview for a bit when you spoke. The way we look at things. Sometimes I have seen lots of, even just with you, talking on this podcast. There are times I come to the podcast lamenting about one thing, and then you say another thing that makes me go start to look for the opportunity in that thing that I was lamenting about. Because, perspectives just shift when you hear something and you're like, I've been thinking this, the other way around. I should go look at it properly. And I've seen opportunity in several things that would have brought heartache, that would have brought pain to my heart. And I'm happy about that. So I want to see better. I want to see the way God sees, so that His will can become my will, and so that I can, just live life the way He wants me to live, and continue to eat from the right tree. So I really love this. I know that the weekend will be full of more light, and I look forward to it.
Good.
Yeah.
Me too.
And me 3. And,
Yeah, there you go.
well, anyway, thank you guys for chiming in with this note. Looking forward to this weekend at Keys Vineyard Church. Join us Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as Sunday morning, 8, 9:30, and 11. Looking forward to hearing from you all. God bless you all. We will see you soon.